Hello again. When I mentioned the Christian Festival of Light, which was held in London in 1971 and was against pornography and general permissiveness, I'm afraid that some people got hold of the wrong end of the stick and assumed that I had been participating on the side of the godly. Alas, no. In those days, I was always ready to stand side by side with those whom I felt were hard done by. Free Angela Davis? You'd find me on a march for that. Grosvenor Square chanting Ho 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 Chi Minh or Hey Hey LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? Yep, I was there. When the Gay Liberation Front protested in Trafalgar Square against what they thought were people who had deprived them of their rights, I naturally stood with them, even though I'm not actually a homosexual. The thumbnail to this video shows me in the late 1960s, and that should be enough to indicate what I was like in those days. Considerably more shaggy hair than you see right now. I've changed my mind about many things, of course, since those days, but I still maintain the same stance that I had then when it comes to gay rights. I think that homosexuals have as much right to live their lives as they wish as anybody else, and that it's wrong to discriminate against them. I was supporting the GLF in 1971, the Gay Liberation Front that is, because at that time the age of consent for homosexual acts between men was 21, and between men and women it was 16. This meant that two 20-year-old men could be prosecuted for going to bed together, which I thought then, and still think, was outrageous. The police used to hassle gays a lot in those days, which I also thought was wrong. I still do. Nobody need bother accusing me of being homophobic or hating gay people or any such foolishness. I was fighting for equality for homosexuals over 50 years ago. So why do I speak disapprovingly sometimes of gay pride marches and so on? The reason is very simple and, to me, obvious. Gay people now have absolute equality and they are not persecuted, targeted by the police or discriminated against in any way. That used to be the case, but it all stopped many years ago. They are in the same category now, as far as I'm concerned, as everybody else with minority sexual tastes. That is to say, they have a perfect right to get up to whatever they please, but I don't want to be constantly reminded of it or see police cars in my area covered in rainbow flags and celebrating homosexuality. I think it's a bad idea and possibly harmful for young people. To explain why, I have to say that I'm an extreme liberal when it comes to personal behaviour. If somebody wishes to inject heroin into themselves in their own home or smoke cannabis, that's their business if they're adults. Gay love affairs? Nothing to do with me. The same goes for sadomasochism and anything else that consenting adults choose to do. None of this need concern the state, and it's certainly not my business. To give an extreme example, a little over 30 years ago, a police operation was launched, and the aim was to arrest a group of men who were involved in consensual sadomasochistic practices. They were doing things like nailing each other's penises to the door and so on. I give a couple of links to this business in the description to this video. They were arrested and charged with malicious wounding and actual bodily harm and so on, even though the whole thing was consensual and involved only adults, and some of them were sent to prison for years. I thought that absolutely outrageous. What people do in private is nothing at all to do with the police or society at all. So far, so good. I'm an extreme liberal. I believe everybody should be able to do exactly what they wish, as long as they're adults and as long as it happens in private. And I don't think the state should concern itself at all with drugs, sex, or anything at all. Suppose, though, that somebody who likes heroin starts publicising the fact and telling people, including young people, that taking heroin is a desirable lifestyle. Or let us imagine that people who enjoy nailing each other's penises to doors begin to march in public extolling the joys of this activity. Now I must object. Young people are very impressionable, and we have seen how the trans business has taken off among adolescents. Just hearing about the business of being transsexual and changing sex has encouraged a lot of teenagers to join the craze and think that they too are in the wrong body. Private behaviour between adults I will defend to the hilt the right of individuals to do as they please. Public displays and demonstrations, though, not so good. Which leads us to gay pride marches. There is no discrimination at all against homosexuals these days in British society, and quite right too. They have absolute equality in law, and that is as it should be. When all's said and done, though, this is a minority sexual interest, like sadomasochism. Would any viewers want to see large marches by those involved in S&M, with the police joining in and decorating police cars with sadomasochistic imagery? I'm guessing not. I honestly don't see the need for all of this sort of business these days. By all means enjoy the gay lifestyle and live your life as you please, but perhaps advertising it in a in-your-face way could be left out of the lifestyle. I'm always keenly aware of how impressionable children and teenagers are, and how easily they can get drawn into all sorts of unconventional activities that they wouldn't do unless the things were made very obvious to them. Anybody who says that I'm opposed to gay people or I'm homophobic is quite frankly an idiot. I was marching in solidarity for gay rights at a time when there were no such rights in this country. Those days are past though, and it's time to just get on quietly with being gay if that's the lifestyle which you choose.